Today we are updating all things zombies. Now we've got a lot of info to cover and no time to waste, so let's get to it. In a previous video on the zombie jerks, I demonstrated the base amount of damage that each zombie jerk would do to the player. This is called entity damage. However, we did not touch base on zombie block damage. And I have received quite a few questions about how much damage the zombie jerks actually do to blocks. So today we are going to update all things zombies and discuss the block damage that each of the zombie jerks will do. In the last zombie video, we established that the zombie jerks can be categorized into basic categories. First, you have your regular zombies, like your zombie Arlene or the zombie Joe. These are your basic baseline zombies that do 8 points of damage. And then you have your feral and radiated versions, like Radiated Arlene and Radiated Joe. They both do 15 points of damage. Then we upgraded to some of the tougher zombies, like the biker zombie. The base biker zombie does 15 points of damage, and the radiated or feral versions do 30 points of damage. And the last group are the specialty zombies. These are zombies that have special attacks or special characteristics that do not fit exactly into the other categories. So in order to test the block damage, what we're going to do is test for each of the groups. We're going to do a test for the block damage of the basic zombies and their upgraded versions. Then we're going to do tests for the next tier of zombies, the tougher zombies, and their upgraded versions. And we will also test the specialty zombies to see if they do different block damage than the entity damage that we've already established. We're also going to test different materials and the different block types to see if that has any bearing on damage from the zombie jerks. So let's go ahead and thin out the crowd here and we will get started. The first zombie we are going to test is zombie Arlene. We're going to see how much block damage your basic run-of-the-mill everyday zombie jerk actually does. And we're going to start off with wood. So what we're going to do here is we're going to create a barrier just like that, blocking Arlene in. And I think I'll actually go 2 blocks high. Now we're going to stand right here. I'm going to turn her AI on and we're going to let her hit this block once and see how much damage she does. So Arlene, if you would. There we go. All right, she hit for 8 points of damage. So she does the exact same amount of block damage as she does entity damage. Let's go ahead and get rid of that, and we will actually get rid of this entire row. And next up, let's do poles to see how much damage she actually does to poles. So now I've gone ahead and replaced the wood blocks with wood poles, and we will see how much damage Arlene does to the pole. Arlene, if you would. Okay, there we go. Interesting. So she did, let's see, 48 damage. That's 6 times the amount of damage that she did to the regular block. So it does look like zombies get a damage increase when attacking poles as opposed to solid blocks. Interesting. Now we are going to test plates and see how she does against plates. All right, so we've got zombie Arlene spawned in there. Let's go ahead and get her closed off. There we go. Let's get our nail gun out so we can see how much damage she does against the plate. And turn her AI back on and see how she does. Arlene, if you would. Okay, so it looks like against the plates, she's back to doing only 8 damage. So very interesting results. It looks like regular blocks, it's 8 damage. Plates, it's 8 damage, but they do get a major boost to the poles. That is awesome. Next up, let's try cobblestone. See if there's any difference in cobblestone. So we'll go ahead and start building our wall here, and we'll bring in Arlene. Excellent. Get the wall finished up, and we will get our nail gun out, turn her AI back on. Arlene, if you would, please come attack my wall. And 8 points of damage. There you go. 8. So it looks like no difference in the materials so far between wood and cobblestone. Next up, let's try the plates, because they were the same as the blocks. Let's just make sure that is the case with the cobblestone as well. So we'll get those put in. We will get our Arlene brought in and finish that off. Grab our nail gun, turn on her AI, and Arlene, if you would. There you go. All right, and there you go, guys. So 8 points of damage to the plate as well. And next up, we are going to test the cobblestone pole. Get those in. Arlene is in. Finish off the wall. Get out our nail gun, and let's do this thing. Arlene, if you would. All right, and once again, she did 48 points of damage. Nice. They do get a 6 times damage bonus when attacking poles. So instead of 8 points of damage, they're doing 48 points of damage. That is a 6 times multiplier against poles. Very, very interesting results indeed. And next up, we are going to test concrete. There we go. We got our wall made. Let's go ahead and bring in Arlene and finish off the wall. Boom. Get our nail gun out and get her AI turned back on. Hello. There you go. And there it is. 8 points of damage once again. So it looks like the baseline block damage for zombie jerks is 8. That's the everyday average regular run-of-the-mill zombies. And next up, we're going to do the plates one more time. Bring in Arlene. Finish off the wall. Get out our nail gun. And there we go. And once again, she did 8 points of damage to the concrete plate. And next up, once again, let's try out the concrete pole. There we go. Let's get our nail gun, turn the AI back on, and Arlene. Ow! She hit me! Let's try that again. There we go. And look at that, once again, 48 damage. Okay, so we can definitively say that the zombie jerks do 8 points of base damage against most blocks. However, they do get a 6 times damage boost against the poles. So the material doesn't matter, but the type of block absolutely does. Keep that in mind when building your structures. If you're using poles, the zombie jerks get a huge damage boost against that block type. And just for the sake of argument, let's go ahead and test this with steel as well. I don't think we're going to see much of a difference with regards to block damage from the regular zombies, but let's test it out just in case. Arlene, if you would. Hello, I'm over here. There we go. Okay, yes. 8 points of damage, base damage from Zombie Arlene against the steel block. Next up, let's try the plate. It should be 8 points of damage again, but we won't know until we test it. Arlene is in. Let's get her the wall finished off here. There we go. Nail gun out, AI on. And there you go, 8 points of damage against the plate. And last but not least, let's try the pole again. Poles are in. Let's bring in Arlene. Finish off the wall. Nail gun out. There we go. And again, 48 points of damage, 6 times damage boost to the poles. So to recap, the base block damage for the standard zombies is 8 points. Does not matter what the material or what the block is made of. However, it does matter the block type. Zombies do get a 6 times damage boost against poles. Plates are fine, blocks are fine, but poles, it seems like, they get a massive, massive boost to that block damage. Very interesting results. So I think from here on out, I'm going to go ahead and just stick with steel since it's the most durable, since the material doesn't matter, and we know that the block and plate act exactly the same way. I think from here on out, we're going to stick with steel, and we're only going to test the block and the pole, because I think we've pretty much established the baselines here. So from here on out, this should go a lot faster, and we should be able to get some really excellent results rather quickly. So next up, we're going to test the feral and radiated version of the standard zombie. I'm actually only going to test the radiated because the damage for both of those types is the same. So it doesn't make sense to repeat the test over and over again to get the same result. Just want to test and see exactly what the base damage is for these different zombie types. All right, so there's our radiated Arlene. Let's go ahead and get her walled off. Let's get our nail gun out, and we will see how much damage the radiated version does. There we go. And it looks like she did 24 points of damage. Now we are going to do that one more time. All right, we got a brand new block in. Radiated zombie Arlene in the back, ready to go there. Let's see if we can repeat those results. And there it is, 24 damage. So it looks like the radiated zombies do 3 times as much damage to blocks as their regular counterparts. So now let's test and see how much the radiated Arlene does against the pole. And there you go. She did 144 points of damage. So the regular Arlene did 48 points of damage. Multiply that by 3, you get 144. Once again, it looks like the feral and radiated versions do triple the damage. But just to be sure, I'm going to test one regular feral and see if that changes. Maybe there's a difference now between the block damage of the ferals and the radiated. It's possible. Let's test and see. So now we have a feral Arlene spawned in, not radiated. Let's see if she does any different. And there you go, 144 damage. So again, the feral and the radiated versions do the same amount of block damage as well. Next up, we are going to test the next tier of zombie. The zombies that normally do 15 and 30 points of damage. We're going to test and see how much block damage these bad boys do. First up, we're going to test on regular blocks. Get those in place. Let's get his AI turned on. All right, so it looks like he did 20 points of damage. Next up, let's test the poles. And this time he did 120 points of damage. So again, a 6 times damage boost. Next up, we're going to test the radiated version, starting off with regular blocks. If you would, Mr. Biker. And yes, he did 60 block damage, so once again, 3 times the amount of his standard version. And next up, we're going to test the pole. Let's see how much damage the radiated biker does against the pole. Wow, there you go. He did 360 damage. Once again, 3 times the base damage and 6 times as much as they damage regular blocks. Now, before we move on, I did want to take this opportunity to say, if you're finding this video helpful and or enjoyable and would like to see more, join the Sav Nation by clicking that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you do not miss a single one of our tutorial videos. But for now, let's get back to it. So the next test we're going to do is a test on the cop spit attack. We're going to see how much block damage that actually does. So behind me, I've got a wall set up and we've got our cop right over there. We're going to let him come towards us and get him to spit. We're going to move and see how much damage he does to the block behind me. So cop, if you would, come on and get to spitting. All right, he has spit, and let's see how much damage he did. 121 points of damage with a direct spit attack. Now we're going to repeat this, and we're going to test it with wood and see if he does any more damage to wood as he does to steel. I doubt that he will, but you know what? We won't know for sure until we test it. There we go. Our wall has been replaced with wood. We've got our cop spawned in. Let's turn him on. Come on, buddy. Spit at us if you would, please, sir. There we go. Spit attack. And let's see here. 121 points of damage. So there you go. The zombie cop spit attack does 121 points of damage. And the last zombie jerk we want to test is the demolition zombie. Let's see how much block damage these bad boys do. First up, we're going to test with regular blocks. So we'll go ahead and get him coming at us. Turn on his AI. Oh, wow. Look at that, folks. He did 500 points. 500 points of block damage. So, the demolition zombies, while they may do the same amount of damage to the character that some of the other zombies do, they get a massive boost to block damage. Now, let's see how much block damage they do to poles. And look at that, ladies and gentlemen, a whopping 3,000 damage to the pole. So yes, once again, they do get a 6 times damage boost to poles as opposed to regular block types. Some very interesting results today, folks, for sure. So we learned that the average everyday zombie does 8 points of base block damage. The feral and radiated counterparts do 24, or 3 times as much as the standard variations. This holds true for your standard block types. However, zombie jerks do gain a 6 times multiplier when damaging poles. The mid-tier zombies, like the zombie biker, do a base of 20 damage points to blocks. And once again, the radiated versions do 3 times as much damage as their standard counterparts. And again, they also receive that 6 times damage multiplier when dealing damage to poles. We learned that the cop spit attack does 121 damage, and that the demo zombies hit like a ton of bricks. They do a whopping 500 points of block damage. And they also receive that 6 times multiplier when attacking poles. We also learned that material type does not matter. Doesn't matter if the block is made of wood, cobblestone, concrete, or steel, the zombie jerks will still do the same amount of block damage regardless of the material it is made of. Block type, on the other hand, matters tremendously. Once again, the zombie jerks get a 6 times damage multiplier against poles. Now, I will say that I found these results extremely interesting. A lot of the videos that I've seen online regarding block damage claim that every single block type is the exact same. So zombies do the exact same amount of damage regardless of the block type. However, in my testing, I found something completely different. I was expecting to find that when the zombies attack the poles, they do the same damage as every other block type. However, every single time that I tested this, the zombies got a 6 times multiplier. So I would really like to hear from you folks. What have you found with regards to poles? Do you notice that the zombies are breaking through your poles a lot faster than other blocks? Let me know in the comments below. Because again, like I said, these results actually kind of shocked me. From previous videos that I've seen online, block type was not supposed to matter. But again, every time I tested out the poles, the zombie jerks always did 6 times as much damage. Very interesting results. Keep in mind that I did do these tests on standard settings, standard difficulties, so your default settings, and changing your difficulty settings will change the amount of block damage that the zombie jerks will do. I hope you folks have found this video helpful and or enjoyable. If you did and you would like to see more, I've created a very special playlist of tutorial videos with similar subject matter. You can access this playlist by clicking the box in the top right corner of the screen. But for now, this is Savin saying thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for joining me in Savin's World. And remember, the average gamer is always king of the hill on the bell curve.